You can make all the money in the world, but if you don't have gratitude and that purpose, there's no sense to it. Welcome to Livestream. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Plains, with my co-host, Jeremy Applegate. How you doing, Jeremy, today?
What is going on, Doc? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Just getting very excited for the playoffs to start.
Yeah, no kidding. It's getting close.
Yeah, last week I went to go see Cowboys-Titans.
Oh, yes, in Nashville.
It was a lot of fun. Nashville's an amazing city.
Yes, it is. It's one of my favorite cities I've ever been to.
So much live music.
It's insane. It's insane. They got the open windows and live music, and everybody's drinking, walking up and down the sidewalk.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time.
Yeah. I'm glad that, and you know what? You guys went there for New Year's, didn't you?
Yeah, we went to this amazing place called Hampton Social.
Yeah.
And we met a lot of cool people while we were over there. People are just so friendly over there. I thought people from Florida were friendly, but man, people from Tennessee are extremely friendly. We made a lot of good friends, a lot of free drinks.
Let's rank it. Florida people versus Tennessee people. Who wins?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. But I would have to say Tennessee.
Oh, you answered that one. Okay.
Yeah, I would have to say Tennessee.
All right.
I mean, let's see if Florida can show up soon.
Come on, Florida. Show it. Show your niceness. Niceness?
It's just they're so courteous and so nice, so professional. It's an amazing city. I mean, Amazon's going to be building like 3 huge buildings over there, adding like over 15,000 jobs to Nashville.
I think that's really a Southern thing. You know, I mean, that's not our topic today, but you know, I think that's a Southern thing with the niceness and the respect and all that other stuff.
Just so simple, not into materialistic things. You don't see Lamborghinis and all these high-end cars over there, supercars. Like, everyone's just there to have a good time.
Well, you know, coming from Illinois, you know, they're jerks. I was going to use a different word, but they're jerks.
Say it how it is.
And, you know, it's difficult to have conversations with the people in Illinois. You know, they're always bitter, and I think it's because of the weather, you know, because it's always cold there.
I mean, you guys have 2 seasons.
Well, sure.
Winter and winter.
Winter and winter.
Or winter and more winter.
What's our topic today?
I mean, what do you want to talk about?
You know, you and I, we get into these profound conversations during the week, and we're like, shit, why didn't we run the podcast today? But I think that one of the topics that we were talking about is purpose, you know, money versus purpose. And you know, in what part of your life does it change, or does it ever change? And what's more important in the beginning of your career versus the end of your career? You know, I want to have that conversation with you because I think that's interesting.
No, absolutely. You know, originally, I can tell you my personal story. Originally, when I started, when I decided to finally take the leap of faith and go into dental school, you know, I did it because of a purpose, but the purpose was, you know, I love this. I love taking care of patients. I love being around people, you know, the humanitarian in me. You know, I'm an Aquarius, so that's a natural trait in Aquarius. They're very humanitarian-like. So, and I love the arts. So it was like, wow, you know, I was not a good musician. So that was out of the picture. So I decided, you know, what can I do that I have a passion for? And then I said, you know, dentistry is where it's at. But in the back of my mind, I was like, not only is it a very purposeful career, you help a lot of people and you change people's lives, but you also make great income, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, the money's extremely important. So you got to make, you know, the money to be able to give your family what they need and provide for them. The last thing I wanted to do was not be in a career that I didn't have enough money to fulfill the needs of my family.
That's fair.
So, you know, when you graduate dental school, you talk to a lot of us that are just graduated or finished a residency, and we start talking about what sports cards you're going to get, where you're going to move to. Are you going to have like an apartment on the beach, an apartment in the city? Are you going to get a house on the water? And those are amazing motives to do what you want to do. But at the end of the day, you know, you get yourself a car, no matter how nice the car is, a beautiful car. After a couple weeks, you're like, you know, it's a nice car. I was telling you, I just got a new car, and, you know, it's an amazing drive. It's a beautiful car, but, you know, us humans, after a while, we tend to like just be like, okay, what's next,
Yep.
you know? And I'll be the first one to admit that, you know, you can have 20 cars, you know, you can have 7 homes, and you speak to a lot of these wealthy people that come from a lot of money. And, they say that after a while, it's just like, what's next? What hotel we're going to go to? The Four Seasons is not good enough, you know? And then, so I feel that I've realized that the process and the joy of doing it, it's more in the purpose of what you're doing it for.
Yeah, I call that the dopamine effect, where you know you get this really nice thing, or you go to this really nice place, and it's great and cool for a certain amount of time, and then you want it more, and then you want it more. It's like a drug.
It is. If you start really analyzing, you know, the culture, like people that come from poor beginnings, humble beginnings, and they become rich, they're a lot happier than people that come from rich.
Yeah, that's what we were
and
talking
then
about
they
this
stay
week.
rich.
Yeah.
You know, so the process is what makes it fun. You know, everyone's so focused on. We were talking this week. Everyone's so focused on retirement.
Yep.
But, you know, there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs and business owners and CEOs that at the age of 35 to 40, even 45 years old, they're retiring. And then, you know, how many country clubs can you go to? How many islands can you visit? How much golf tournaments can you do, you know? And you realize that they have to go back into their field. They become depressed. They become unhappy. They start drinking more, partying more. They start getting overweight because they start losing that purpose and that motive that they should be at. Because, you know, this culture is focused on, you know, you got to retire, and everyone's on that race to retire at 65. And if you can do it sooner, amen. But if you do, and you do it too young, then the fun is gone.
I think that's why athletes struggle with that. Like Tom Brady.
They blow their money.
I mean,
well, Tom Brady's a good one, but you got players like Antoine Walker. Look at Mike Tyson. I mean, Mike Tyson blew a fortune of over $300 million.
Yep.
You know, Evander Holyfield.
They had to come back for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
So,
and now they enjoy it more than when they originally got it.
That's right.
Because, you know, they just blew the money, bad financial, you know, advice, and, you know, the process was gone. So, you know, football players retire at a very young age, sometimes with a lot of, you know, millions and millions of dollars. And by the time they're 40, if they didn't invest correctly, they blew the money.
Yep.
And then they can't find their purpose. You know, like look at Deion Sanders. Like Deion Sanders was, I would have to say, the best cornerback of all time, in my personal opinion. And he was able to play baseball and football, which was extremely cool. One of my favorite players growing up. And now, like, you look at Deion, and he's a new man. I mean, it's not about the flash anymore. It's not about the jewelry. It's not about the sports cards. It's about being a coach, being a mentor, and helping these kids go through the evolutions and the changes in times that he probably faced challenge with.
I think you're great on that, and I think that's a brilliant statement because his purpose changed. You know, it was show me the money. You know, I'm using Keyshawn Johnson's phrase when I say that, but it was about that. And now he's like, I'm going to coach and mentor, and I'm going to make sure these young men turn into incredible individuals outside of football. So
yeah, like you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't have gratitude and that purpose, there's no sense to it. You know, there's guys that make millions and gazillions of dollars, and they don't help one person.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it's all about being the best human that you can be while you're here on planet Earth. And I feel that if you don't find that purpose, like Deion found his purpose and he's excelling at it, and he's doing it with a lot of love. I mean, now he's going to go to the University of Colorado, and I guarantee you he's going to make that program excel.
Yeah. I think that, again, you said something profound there, and we've talked about this a lot this week too, is, you know, how do you identify a purpose? You know, when does your purpose change? Or when do you reevaluate your life and change that purpose? I mean, I would want to know how you feel about that. What do you think?
I think that's a great question, Jeremy. I think that if I had to answer really quickly for you, I think you got to go back to your inner child. When you know, as a kid, I personally grew up and I was very helpful. I've shared this story hundreds of times about when I was a little kid, I would take my friend's baby teeth out. So that is in my innate nature.
I'm sorry, but I still am processing that from like 4 podcasts before. At 6 years old, you're pulling teeth. That's just
because that was an innate nature. You know, that's what God gave me. That's my, I like helping people. I like, providing. I like facilitating other people's lives. And that's not something that, some people learn the process, but I can personally say that as a child, that's how I was. I was always like that. I was never greedy with my toys. I was always very giving, always very focused on helping the poor. I remember one time we had in our elementary school, like I used to love gathering cans for the poor for Thanksgiving, and sometimes when you make the money, now I have a lot of opportunity to help people. And I can personally say that I'm not doing enough for the community. I mean, I'm so focused on the business and the family life that I've forgotten to give back. Okay. I give back, but not as much as I should be giving. And this year in 2023, my goal is going to be to at least do something special at least once a quarter for the community.
No, that's awesome. I think that's a great idea. I think people fall victim to the trials and tribulations of life, so they don't ever reflect. Like you just reflected and said, man, I really am not supporting my community enough.
Well, like I told you the other day, like I live in a frantic pace. I mean, most times I'm on a schedule that I can't miss a beat. I got to go constantly all the time. And by the time I realize, like, oh my God, it's already 5 o'clock, then I got to go pick up my child from daycare, then go home, have dinner, do homework. By the time you know it, it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like,
and then you have to get up at 4 o'clock to take that cold shower because,
yeah, I know. Talking about the cold shower. So, everyone now is talking about the cold shower plunge and all that. And there was a point in my life when I was in dental school in the Dominican Republic and I was studying for my boards. I can personally remember this. I was living in a little condo, probably a 10 by 10. I had a shower and a little kitchenette. I would barely cook in there because it would create too much of a mess. But I would take cold showers, and it was out of a bucket. I didn't even have a shower head. But you know what? That I think back, and over time, the more comfortable you get, you lose that. You lose that drive. Now it's like, oh, if the pillow's not this way, if the shower head is not this way. But back then, I used to have to get a bucket of water and use a little aluminum can to take a shower with cold. And, I was a beast. I was waking up at 6 a.m, going to the library and studying 12 to 14 hours a day, going to the gym, taking a cold shower and going to sleep. That was just what I had to do because I was not only in survival mode, I had to succeed and pass my boards in the first try. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I think that that kind of situation and those circumstances create purpose too. Your environment drives purpose as well. Not only is your mindset, but I think that there's some influence on the environment.
Yeah, you can't lose that drive. We tend to graduate and then we're like, okay, we completed that challenge or we completed to make X amount of dollars. And by the time you start losing that drive. You already got the car, you already got your beautiful wife, you got your kids, you got the house of your dreams, and then you lose that hunger. And I think once you start losing that hunger and you start losing your purpose and what is next, then that's the point that you start falling back. And guess what? There's somebody that's going to be right next to you that is hungrier than you, and he's going to take what you want.
Yeah, and I think, going back to purpose, like how do you identify when your purpose changes? Like when do you just wake up in the morning and say, you know what?
I think it's when you hit a huge down. I mean, a lot of times you realize like, every life goes in cycles, right? So I think like for me, my purpose changed after finishing dental school. My purpose was to grow a business and make it, massive. And then after that, then you build it and then you're like, okay, now what do I do now? I already accomplished this. Yeah, can I continue to scale and do more? Absolutely. But I feel that at that point, my purpose changed to be able to help other people accomplish how I did it in a less time frame.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, there's something about the timeline of purpose. And I think when you get to the point of purpose where you want to influence and impact people's lives, I think that's like that's a higher level of purpose than, chasing the money. You know what I mean? I think that as an individual, like that hits my heart harder and better when I impact somebody's life. And, I see a big smile on their face. That warms me up better than, making another $10,000 or whatever on a deal. You know what I mean? So I think that's interesting that, purpose can be done different ways.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, like, I've given you, like, I can personally say, like, my purpose has changed. And I know that by my purpose changing and us working together, and we have changed each other's purpose. I mean, I think I've changed your purpose too. I mean, when you were hired, you were director of operations for Plains Dental Partners, and now we're working on business development.
Now we're conquering the world, baby.
Yeah, there's no other choice. So, at the end of the day, like, if I can change your life and I can change, I mean, my goal is I have 83 employees right now to date. If I can change 30% of those employees' lives, I mean, I feel like I did a successful job.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And at the end of the day, they need to be able to also make the impact themselves. But if I can guide them and mentor them, I love doing that. I love the process of helping others. And like me and my buddy David, we talk at least once a day, and we just troubleshoot all their problems, because I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, and neither does he. But we constantly evolving, and our purpose might change in a month. We might be thinking about something completely different. Like, last week I realized, Alex, I'm self-reflecting, and I feel like I'm not giving back enough. I'm not doing enough. And it doesn't need to be monetary. It can be just getting, a homeless person a sweater or a pair of jeans that you have in your closet with your other 30 pair of jeans. So, at the end of the day, you just got to be finding your purpose constantly. I mean, it's a constant evolution.
We were thinking on the same level there, because I do believe that purpose evolves continuously. It's never stagnant. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. And I want to go back to, when you were talking about impacting 30% of our team members. You can go back to the rule of 3. You can go back to pay it forward. You can go to all that stuff. Guess what's happened with those 30% of those 30% people are going to what?
Impact others.
Correct. You've influenced them that they're going to impact others, and then they're going to impact others, and then they're going to impact others. I mean, it's...
You remember what I told you this morning? You got to lead by example. So, Jeremy's here telling me that the cold showers are good, but he's still not doing the cold showers. So
here we go.
So Trish is his amazing wife. She needs to impact his life and make sure that he takes these cold showers, because you got to act. You got to act on it, Jeremy. You cannot talk about it. And don't
let him pressure you in doing that, okay? I'd appreciate that.
We're going to take small steps. So the first thing we're going to start doing is, cold showers, and then we're going to start, getting him to do some light cardio.
Okay.
I mean, if I can do that for you in this year, I mean, I feel like I got a huge win.
That's a huge win?
That is a huge win. I mean, you are one of the people that gives me the hardest time about these things.
All right, I'm going to stop doing that, because all I'm doing is throwing myself under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, so Trish, I would appreciate your assistance in getting Jeremy on board, at least with the, he can take a 5-minute hot shower and then, 2-minute cold. I mean, it's
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Listen,
it's a long time.
The type of stimulus that you're going to get, you're going to be mind-blowing people on this podcast.
All right.
Okay. You think you can sign up for that?
Maybe.
Come on, make that your New Year's resolution.
Right. That'll be my purpose for the next 48 hours.
Because everyone talks about New Year's resolution, and it's great for a week, and then 2 weeks later, everyone's like, okay, I can cut it out. No, you got to stay disciplined. I think when we talk about purpose, we got to put in their discipline as well.
I agree.
Because if you're not disciplined, you cannot complete your purpose. I mean, you can write everything down like I've said in the past, but one thing I forgot to add there is, like, if you're not disciplined, it doesn't matter how many times you say it or you write it down. It's not going to happen. And you always got to be raising your standard. Your standard always got to be going up every single year. I feel in 2022, we did a lot of amazing projects, but I feel like I didn't raise my standard as high as I wanted to. And my discipline was not what I needed it to be. And that's okay. I mean, you're not going to win all the time. But Correct. If you at least have small wins every single day, little small wins, you'll be able to do a lot better than you did the day before.
Well, and that discipline creates consistency, right?
Huge.
And you need consistency in your life. Like, if your life is like this, I mean, you're a chaotic person. I'm just throwing that out there.
I just want to tell you, life is hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Life is hard. And if anyone thinks that life is going to be easy and life is going to be rainbows and unicorns all the time, they're very mistaken. Life is hard. The times of having fun is when you're a kid. As you grow up, you have kids, you have responsibilities. Those days are long gone. So try to enjoy those small moments full of joy, because I personally believe there's no such thing as happy. Like, there's moments of joy, but I would have to say that that is more realistic than being happy all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
I agree. And you gotta, this is one of my favorite sayings. Everything's gonna work out. We're talking, purpose, and we're talking about all this other stuff, but it all goes together in your mindset. Having this positive mindset, and people that beat themselves up and tear themselves down and think the world's coming to an end, and pessimistic, and feeling all the negative words in that comment. It's never ever that bad, and you always come out on top.
That's true. I mean? Yesterday, I have I'll share something personal here, but I have an app on my phone called the Holy Bible that my buddy Alex through Heal told me to get. And I get a pop-up, and it's Matthew 8:36, and it states, don't worry about tomorrow. And, I'm going to give it in my own, what I recognized of it. Don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will work itself out.
Yeah.
And it's true. It just goes back to exactly what you're saying. We're so worried about tomorrow, and we forget to live in the present. A good technique is to get a rubber band, and every time that you're worried about the future, just hit that rubber band and snap yourself out of it, because you're not living in the present time.
That's right. That's right. And listen, I want to meet the person who can control the future, because I really want to meet that person. If that person's out there, hey, we'd love to have you come on the podcast, but you can't control the future. You can only do what you're doing in your present. You learn from your past. You handle the present, and you got to be excited about the future.
Of course, you can visualize the future and imagine that for 5 to 10 minutes a day of reflection. And I believe that does work. It does manifest. But you also got to say, like I was saying before, you got to stay disciplined, and you got to constantly be raising your standards all the time. You got to be a monster. You got to be attack mode all the time. If you don't, you're not going to be able to accomplish those goals. And if you're waking up late and sitting in your couch and expect the world to change watching Netflix, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, and you can't get to the future without taking care of the present.
No, I think a lot of us have gotten, I remember my grandfather will wake up every single day at 4:30 in the morning and go weld from 6 to 3 o'clock. And after 3 o'clock, he will come home and he will say, Alex, let's go play baseball together. Now parents are so easy to say, you know what? Here's your YouTube, here's your your iPad, and I'm a victim to it. We're tired of it, but we're getting so used to like giving our kids technology, and they have all these streaming channels, that we're forgetting to raise our children the right way.
Well, they're getting raised by YouTube.
Yeah, and what they see.
Yeah. And most of that we understand is
like my son Lucas is 7 years old, and at the age of 6.5, he was already asking me for an iPhone. I mean, I didn't get my first cell phone. The first thing I got was a beeper, and I think I got a beeper when I was like 13 or 14.
Man, I remember the beepers.
The beepers were really good. You'll text a girl, you're 143, So the beeper is like, and then I finally got a flip phone, when I was 16. And the only reason I got it is because I had to drive to school. And, my grandparents and my parents wanted to know where I was. So, now these kids are getting iPads and PlayStations, and, they don't realize how blessed they are.
No. I saw a reel this morning coming in that the parents tested the teenager on if he could use a rotary phone to dial a number, and he couldn't do it.
No, they won't be able to do it. And soon people are not even going to remember their own phone number. I mean, like, it's going to be like, I still remember my first phone number that I ever had when I was a kid, and most of the time, like the other day I asked my wife, babe, what is my number? She didn't even know it because she has it programmed on the phone. And I mean, I have a lot of contacts. Like if I go to jail, God forbid, and I got to call Jeremy, like I have
Don't call me if you go to jail.
Like I don't even have your number on my mind. Like I might know the area code, but I don't know anything else.
Yeah, thank goodness.
So
hey, if he goes to jail, don't bail him out, okay? Don't do that.
I thought you were my friend.
Oh, I'll call David.
You
David
just keep me in there, that's going to make me more gritty anyways.
Oh, there you go. I like the spin on that. I like the positive mindset.
You just leave me in there. It's a learning experience.
He's developed and enhanced his purpose.
You never know who you're going to meet in there. I mean, there's a lot of influential people. So we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you, Jeremy, for being a part of the show today. And you can check us out at Dr. Alex A. Plains on Instagram, or live stream with Dr. Alex Plains on YouTube. Thank you.